welcome back, Lockdown Legion, to another episode of Nerds on Lockdown, where we cover everything in the Nerd Kingdom. What's up, AA Ron? How's it going today?
Oh, it's gone good, Chris. How you doing today, brother?
Dude, I'm staying cool and, staying out of the heat. How about you?
Doing the same, dude. Just try not to burst into flames out there.
For sure. So, what are we going over today, man?
Well, dude, we're going to be covering something that's near and dear to our hearts, something that has been a part of our lives since we were probably, 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's that?
this is going to be the top five favorite classic Nintendo console games.
Do, 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 do. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, man. So, top five NES classics. One of my favorite systems for sure. What makes you so nostalgic about the NES?
Just something about it, man. Like when it was introduced at the age I was at, I was just starting to discover and have interests in things, right? So,
Uh-huh.
I remember when they dropped, kids that had it at school were like rock stars or something, and like for me, when my family got one, I remember I had completely taken over me. Basically, I wanted to play all the time, like you see the kids nowadays, and you scratch your head and wonder how could they play so much because we played so much because that's what happens when these games are so good.
They're addictive
Like
almost. It's an addictive thing.
serious.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Nintendo figured out the formula for crack cocaine for children. Is what
Yeah,
they did.
absolutely. And I'm still addicted to them. I still love these games. I think it came out in a perfect era where people were starting to get into that new technology phase. You know what I mean? And we came from a point of Atari to Nintendo coming out and going, "Oh my God, look at these graphics." I mean, it's silly to say
Right,
now, but look at this. We've never had anything so colorful and vibrant and just well running
right,
like this before and smooth. And it was, whoa, 8 bits. Oh my God. But
right.
man, I'm telling you, it's such a classic system that still to this day, I could honestly say I go back and I still play just all my favorites. So
Awesome, bro. Awesome. What do you want to lead us off today? Give us your
yeah. So
numero cinco.
speaking of favorites, I guess. So my number five is a little game I brought out of the vault called Captain Skyhawk. Man,
Skyhawk.
Captain Skyhawk, dude. This game is pretty cool. It's like a little top-down shooter. Kind of in a, I forget how they explain the view, but it's sort of a top-down at an angle, if that makes
Nice.
any sense,
It's an
right?
angular top down.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Similar to something like uh, I don't even know, like a 1942. Remember that game, 1942?
I do, or like
So
Zaxxon,
yeah,
same kind of
Zaxxon. So
overflying kind
yeah,
of angle.
exactly. So it's like that, but you're this captain of this like F-12 jet called,
Captain
Captain
Skyhawk.
Skyhawk. Yeah, man, and it's cool. I really love this game. So that's my number five.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. To come up with the list, I just had to come up with something that there's so many games. There's got like 200, 300 games on that console, maybe way more than that. Correct
Yeah.
me, I'm sure I'm wrong. But for me, it just seemed like there was endless amounts, and many of them were really great. So my selections are going to tie into memories not only with playing the games and enjoying the games, but in times of my life that I was also really impacted by the system and that kind of thing. And I'm going to go with my number five today as a fighter called Double Dragon 2.
Yeah, best Double Dragon there is, man.
I loved it, man. I liked one. I thought one was cool. Then they dropped two on my rental shelf one day at a Blockbuster or local video shop, and it was the first time I remember being able to play two players simultaneously, where you're kicking the bad guys' butts instead of getting, fighting each other.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it was neat. I got to play with people. Friends would come over. I even get my parents to play with me sometimes, right?
So that was your first like sort of introduction to the couch co-op genre of
Right.
gaming. Okay, yeah. So it definitely had an impact on you for sure.
Yeah, a bunch of really neat jump kicks and villains of different sizes and strengths and weaknesses. It was fun. I made it pretty far through the game. Um,
Cool, man. Yeah, that
yeah,
actually has a really good soundtrack too. I've known a lot of bands that have actually covered like the music from Double Dragon 2. So
That's
in like
cool, man.
rock format, yeah. So
If you have a really good one, drop it in the link down below.
for sure, yeah. It's a there's a band out there. My wife actually knows them. They're called the Megas, and they do like rock versions of like NES games and stuff like that. So
That's cool.
it's pretty rad. Anyways, cool, man. Well, good number 5.
5-0.
5. I'm my number 4
Mm-hmm.
is a little car game, but it's not just a car game. It's also a spy game, and that game is Spy Hunter.
Nice.
Awesome game. You're this car going around and shooting other cars on the road, and this is the game that Knight Rider should have been, I guess.
Word, dude.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
for sure. And this game actually was supposed to be a movie like 10 years ago, starring The Rock, and it never happened. I don't know what, but anyways, yeah. Cool. That's my number 4. Yeah, Spy Hunter.
Man, maybe someday they'll drop it.
Maybe.
All right, we're gonna bang through here. In the early '90s, I was going and watching the Stanley Cup when LA Kings were doing battle, and this was the Robitaille, Gretzky, McSorley era. And right at the same time, I started playing this really kick-ass Nintendo game called Blades of Steel.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and that game was bad because I wasn't really into sports games too much, but it was pretty easy to play, and it was fun and challenging. And then you'd have these like fight modes, right? Like fight, and then they drop their gloves and they go at each other, and so it was like two games in one really, and I just enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah, man, that was one of my games. Looking into this, just didn't make the top 5, but it was there. It was definitely one of my
Yeah,
favorite sports games for sure.
for sure.
Great hockey game, great fighting. Like when you got to like fight another player and it jumped to that screen. It, it was something else, especially when you're fighting with somebody else and you're both sitting there like tapping the button as fast as you can. Yeah, yeah, for sure, man, for
Like
sure.
your thumb is bleeding. You're like ah.
Anyways, that's a good one, man, for sure. I love that game.
Right on, man. Hit me numero trace.
Numero Trace, man. All right, so this is a game. I do have to forewarn some of our viewers that I do have a green screen behind me, obviously. And
Boy, spoiler.
spoiler, it's not how my room actually looks. Uh, and so this cover actually has some green in it, so I just want to let everybody know it's kind of gonna look funky, but it's a game called Cobra Triangle, and
Mm.
it's this little game where you're a little. Once again, you're on a top-down sort of view, and you're a little boat, and you're going around, and you have to do these missions on these little levels. And the levels are pretty short, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's similar to like think of like RC Pro Am, but in a boat. You're not racing; you're more racing against time and little enemies and stuff. And you're shooting.
Yes.
You actually shoot these little white bullets out of the. It's
Pew,
great.
pew.
And I remember this game a lot because me and my dad used to sit there and play it a lot and crash into the walls and stuff, and just laugh and yeah. So it was. I don't think I ever finished this game, but the tagline on this game, I always thought it was cool. Was get ready for the full throttle thrill of Cobra Triangle. Like it just like wanted to bring you into it, man.
The full throttle thrill.
Yeah.
Cobra Triangle.
Yeah, see, like that, you should have been the spokesman, man. Anyways, so that was my number 3.
Kick-ass name for sure. I've never seen the game, but based on your description, it sounds compelling.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, man. I'm gonna bounce into basically one of the greatest classic fighting games ever. Probably one of the earliest games ever to have licensing of a non-fictional person associated. I'm talking Mike Tyson and his punch-outs. Whoo!
Heck yeah, man! Mike Tyson's Punch Out, dude. Who
Yes.
doesn't like Mike Tyson's Punch Out? I mean,
That beats me. Beats me. But it's a hell of a game. It's fun. It's challenging. You've got these patterns you got to learn, and I'm pretty simplistic when it comes to those things. So it was like I could actually figure it out and keep up, and go through the game. I only had Mike Tyson's Punch Out for a little while, and then something happened. And then when I got it again as an adult, it was just Punch Out. Like Mike Tyson.
yeah.
Like we need a version that is like Tyson free at this point, and Same game, kick-ass game either way. But that's what I got on that one. So
Yeah, they were. It was rebranded as Punch Out. I think in. Oh man, was it? I don't remember. The original release was like '87, I think, as Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and then it
right,
got rebranded as just Punch Out because they lost the licensing with Mike Tyson.
right,
So
right.
yeah, it just got released as Punch Out, which is, I believe, the Mike Tyson version is actually less expensive than the original, or than the Punch Out version.
Like nowadays, like
Yeah,
resale.
like a resale. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah,
Nice.
it's weird, but yeah.
Right on,
It was
man.
good game, man. I remember playing that and hitting up Glassjaw and Hippo. I could never get past that Hippo guy or whatever his name was, and
It's a left, right,
yeah,
uppercut,
dude,
left, left,
yeah.
left,
He was
uppercut.
he was so hard. And I don't know if you know this, and I was watching a video about it was on YouTube about Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and there's this guy that was going through the game, and he beat it, and he took a video of him beating it, and he actually started noticing with the camera effects in the background when the audience is like taking like he noticed that there was a pattern to the camera flashes, and during the pattern on each match and each stage, that's when you're like during a certain time in those patterns, that's when you're like prime time is to attack and dodge. So there's like different like little, it's like an Easter egg in there. It's really cool.
Oh, a little trickery he threw in there to help us out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, whoever designed the game put
Thanks,
that in
Mike
there.
Tyson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mike
I'm
Tyson
sure it was
designed
his. I'm sure it's his idea. Right? You be sure you put some lights. No, sorry, terrible Mike Tyson
it.
impression.
That was bad.
It was real bad. It was real bad. Why don't you make it better and give us your number two?
My number two is an adventure game called Wizards and Warriors.
Ah, the Wiz and War.
Yeah, dude, Wizards and Warriors. This game is not like a regular adventure platforming game like Ghosts and Goblins or Mario Brothers or whatever. It's more of an up and down the screen where you had to jump up these trees and go into the tree trunk, and then jump
Mhm.
down the tree trunks and grab the treasure, and all along making sure that you don't get hit by spiders and bees and other little creepy crawlies and bad guys and stuff. And you had this like, instead of a sword, you had this like jousting. It was weird. It was like a sword mixed with like a jousting rod thing, and like you would hit the button and it would go out. Yeah, it would go out. But it was so weird because of the movement of it to hit an enemy. It was just weird. If you play the game, you'll understand because it was a long sword, so it was hard to like swing the sword.
So you're going up and down instead of left and right. You got
Yeah,
a funky, wonky
yeah,
ass sword,
yeah,
and you got to travel through some trees and mess up some chipmunks and things.
yeah. And it's just like these little branches and stuff you got to step on, like, or you're gonna fall all the way down. You know,
Right.
so yeah, it's a hard game,
Nice.
dude, but it's really fun. Yeah.
Hey, man. If it brings joy to the heart, right? All right, man. I'm gonna drop some number two on you. That doesn't sound good at all. Oh man,
I didn't know this
this
was
is
a German show.
you. You have my full permission to edit that out
No, it's
later.
staying in.
Oh Jesus Lord.
Okay, go ahead, dude.
All right, man. Let's try this again. So for my number two, what we're looking at here is a game that to me had major innovation for its time. We're talking about a game that would allow you to sort of create your own track, your own adventure, as it were. Um, this is a game that you could, haul ass on a little motorbike, and you'd blaze down the street, and you'd have these little arrows that would turbo and accelerate you at ridiculous speeds, and then you would have these ramps and such. The game I speak of, if y'all haven't figured it out already, it's one called Excitebike. And Excitebike was a great game both for the tracks they created for you, as well as your ability to manipulate tracks or create from scratch any design you'd want to jump on with the various ramps and the various dips and obstacles and like wood logs and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
dude. I love that game. That's actually out of my top five too. It's like sitting there right with Blades of Steel. It's a classic, instant classic, like for sure.
There's
I think
loved it.
I think anybody that's ever played an NES has been like, oh, I played Excitebike.
Right, right.
It's
Just like realize you overheated.
yeah, all the time, jumping up the ramps, hitting the stupid little bumps in the road, and then like a year later, I figure out after playing the game, oh, I can do a wheelie over them and not crash.
Right, asshole over elbow for three screen.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, good pick, dude. Excitebike. I think everybody kind of can relate to that game. I mean, I don't know too many people that haven't actually played that are from the NES era. So
Right.
yeah, for sure, dude. Excitebike. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, you got some number one going.
I do, dude. And this was a hard one for me, man, because you have your Marios, right? Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3. Mario 3 undoubtedly is probably my favorite. Well, that's my wife's favorite Mario. I have to say Mario 2 is my favorite Mario, only because
Floating Princess.
Floating Princess, man. Cheat your way through the game, right? No, I like the fact that Mario 2 had it wasn't actually a licensed Mario game. It was created as something else in Japan, and they just threw Mario into the game. It wasn't planned to be part of that series.
Really?
And yeah, so that's why it's so different than the other games. The music's different, the character models are different,
The feel.
the feel, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I liked that aspect of the game, and I think that's why I like the game because it's a little weird and off. But my number one is my favorite character in the Nintendo verse. I've always liked him. Always, is the person I speak of is Link, and he is from the Legend of Zelda.
Link.
This is my favorite NES title because I have just so many nostalgic memories with it.
Right.
Beating it, not beating it, trying to get through this game so many times without dying. It's so hard to play, man. Thank God we have the technology to go back and play it on something like this where you can save the game, because back then you couldn't save.
It actually gives you those options in the new consoles.
Yeah, you can save in the little
Wow.
mini consoles, and you can save where your progress and then go back to it. So I remember back in the day where you get halfway through a game and you gotta keep your console on overnight, and you gotta tell your parents, hey, don't turn my Nintendo off because I'm gonna lose all my progress, right?
Because my world will literally end.
Yeah, so that was definitely one of those games for me that was like that. It was, but anyways, yeah, Legend of Zelda, man. It's Link is just my little hero in NES world. So yeah.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, man. I knew kids growing up playing those games, right? And they were real heavy into it. And they could put hours and hours into games.
Oh yeah, man, for sure.
I like. I've always had a different approach to games. I like to sit down and just kind of go at it, and I can commit 20 minutes or I can commit hours. If the game is good and repeatable, right?
Yeah.
And this next game, my number one, ties in directly to a pivotal pop culture era for me, in which things were beginning to attract me uniquely in pop culture, like Batman films or things like music and movies and where just where it's at. And what I have here as my number one is something that I would watch on Fox 11 every Saturday morning at noon, and I'm talking about WWF WrestleMania Challenge.
All right.
And I like this game not because it's the best wrestling game ever, or even the best wrestling game on NES, but because it tied in directly at a time when I was watching that show, I was watching the pay-per-views, or seeing them eventually on video cassette. And all the characters that were on TV were in the game, and they had little 8-bit versions of their theme songs and stuff. It was just very cross media interest.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love the fact that you could, play all the different characters, or at least 9 or 10 of them at the time.
Yeah, now in that game, I never actually played that game. In that game, could you set up your own matches? Could you be like The Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan? Could you do that?
You could, yes.
Okay, so you could go from watching that on a Saturday morning to popping on that game and being like, I want to replay that match that I just saw on TV.
Right.
See, that's really cool. I mean, obviously you can do that today with it, but that as being something that you could do back then in the early 90s, dude, like that's something that's that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As a kid, you're like, oh man, I can,
it's
yeah,
living the dream, living the fantasy of whatever
yeah, for sure. So I can see how that would be number one. Yeah,
super cool.
wrestling will be a topic we get to for sure.
Oh, indeed, good sir. We have a lot of a lot of wrestling depth to get into.
We can't be nerds unless we talk about wrestling, right?
Though some would argue, they're like, you like wrestling? You're probably the same kind of guy that likes Howard the Duck. It's like,
Well, yeah.
and I say like, man, take your hate elsewhere.
Listen,
Because on this channel, we like wrestling.
yeah, we do. We like us
We
some
do.
wrestling.
And we ain't afraid to admit it.
Nope, not one bit. Anyways, cool, man. Well, I like your top five. Hope you
Thank
liked
you, sir.
mine.
I liked yours as well. Yes.
I hope you guys liked our top fives, or if you didn't, then disagree, and we can have a discussion. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, you hit that like button, so we can get back to you guys, and drop us your favorite five in the discussion board, or drop us any kind of anything you guys want us to talk about on this channel.
Right.
And
yeah. Throw us a topic.
yeah, man, we'll go for it, man, as long as it's appropriate for the channel. And then if you want to get us and hit us up on the social medias, our social media accounts are right down here. Go ahead and check it out. I don't know why my finger's being all weird, but it's right in the middle. You guys can see it at Nerds on Lockdown for the Instagram, and for the Twitter, Lockdown Nerds, and Facebook at Push Up Your Glasses. And yeah, just like that, because us nerds have to push up our glasses, right?
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah.
No comment.
Nah.
Anyways, man. Well, this has been another exciting episode with you, Ron.
Thanks,
I hope
man.
to do it again soon.
I got a question though. Did I done mess up?
Ron, you're an AA student today.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. I'll bring you a shiny apple for the next meeting.
Ooh, apples. Anyways,
applesauce, bitch. Okay.
Thank you, Lockdown Legion, for watching. Make sure you subscribe once again, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye.